The classic Moroccan text entitled Book on the Excellence of the Bow and Arrow contains a rather interesting description of quivers. According to the author, there are two methods of wearing one. One method consists of wearing the quiver on a hook on the belt, if the archer wears a belt, that is. This seems like a fairly standard hip quiver arrangement that would be at home at any modern archery range. The other method, however, is a bit unusual. The quiver is described as being long and deep, swallowing the arrows up to the lower limit of the feathers. The manner of carrying the quiver consists in having it strap over the left shoulder and the quiver itself hung along the right side of the back with its opening on a level with the right shoulder. Now that sounds suspiciously like a back quiver, which would be very out of character for an archery culture that is essentially a derivative of steppe horseback archery. Now, there are numerous depictions of both Arabs and Turks wearing long, deep back quivers, but these are all European in origin, and they are possibly Orientalized, and as such, they are rather unreliable. For that matter, European artists were also well known to draw on classical art for inspiration. That said, Melchior Lorck is an artist who is known to have actually visited Constantinople. Lorck's depictions of Ottoman archers show side quivers, and the quivers have been slid far to the rear. If made longer and more narrow-waisted, these might indeed resemble the Moroccan quiver. Provided there is not something being drastically mistranslated, a practical explanation for the anomalous Moroccan back quiver could be that it was simply a continuation of a long tradition in the Middle East of carrying arrows in long quivers slung over the shoulder, dating back to Egyptian and Assyrian times. Alternatively, one interesting observation is that Morocco had strong trade connections to the Malian Empire at the time of the book's creation, and like many other peoples all across sub-Saharan Africa, the Malians definitely used back quivers, as testified in both artwork and historical accounts by Arab explorers who traveled to the distant African kingdom. Perhaps there was some sub-Saharan influence on the author. But it is important to note that the African quivers are not intended for rapid access. It could simply have been a method of carrying large numbers of reserve arrows in a manner that was both ergonomic and insulated the projectiles against the environment. The waisted shape of the Moroccan quiver, combined with its cover for the fletchings, is also remarkably reminiscent of the closed quivers employed all across Asia for the long-range transport of arrows. This topic frustrates me because so much of it boils down to speculation and uncertain translation. But I do not think that it is unreasonable to think that the anonymous North African author was indeed talking about some type of back quiver, or at least a design that could have been used as a back quiver. There is nothing impractical or fundamentally ahistorical about it. Personal preference may also have certainly played a role. That is more or less what the author seems to indicate by differentiating between the quivers worn by archers who have belts and those who do not. We, as modern archers, should also be free to do as we please.